I got started literally in my kitchen, and I didn't have an office. I didn't have a website. I didn't have really any money. I literally started on credit cards and just good faith. I think that most ideas really are born. Apple, for example, was founded in the garage. The way Blackstone was founded was literally on a kitchen table with an idea and literally me making phone calls from my cell phone. When I got started, one of the things I did that was paramount was I went out and I surveyed physicians. I just had on a sheet of paper a very simple list of questions. I think it was about 5 questions. It was, do you currently screen for sleep apnea? Do you currently refer out patients for sleep apnea? If there was a service that allowed your patient to be seen at home, would that be something you would consider? And the last question was, what type of volume are you seeing currently? And that was kind of like a question that maybe they would give me a number, maybe they wouldn't. This took hours. I mean, there was one time I went to see a doctor, and man, I was waiting there for, 4.5 hours. I got there at 1 o'clock and he saw me at 4:30, 5:30. And the conversation lasted like literally 5 minutes, right? But I waited there in the office for 4 hours, 4.5 hours. Once I finished that, I had a lot of confidence. I mean, I knew now at this point that I had physicians that were referring patients for sleep apnea tests. So now it was just a question of, was I going to be good enough to be able to get them to refer me business? I knew it was there to be had. And there were other competitors that were doing it. And so it was at that moment where I said, okay, no matter what, I can be successful in this as long as I persist and just don't stop. I was the first rep in 2012, 2013. And, I thought initially when I started that it would kind of happen quickly, just because I think most entrepreneurs are quite eager and they think everyone shares in their enthusiasm. You can be super excited about your venture and what you're doing, but the other person probably doesn't care as much and isn't going to share in your enthusiasm. And that's very sombering, I think, sometimes for entrepreneurs, because you think people are going to share. I had one employee, and I would go out every single day. And, I considered myself a good salesman, and I would go out and I'd come back at the end of the day and there was nothing. There was nothing. There was no phone calls. There was no request for more information. Like, hey, a rep stopped by today and they dropped off some information about sleep apnea. Want to know more? Can they come back in? Nothing. And that went on for several weeks, if not months. There were times where I'd actually call the phone company just to make sure that the fax machine was working. And so that was quite sombering. And that went on for a few months. And then finally, the phone started to ring and we saw a heartbeat. And there was, one patient came in on one day. And then there would be 2 days or 3 days where there'd be nothing. And then another patient. I took that as a win because I said, okay, you know what? That's one. Now I just need a lot more. But that's one. It works. At that point, once I knew after a few months that this was a product or service that physicians really wanted and patients really liked it, and the whole patient experience was there, being able to be tested in your home as opposed to going to a hospital or a sleep lab. At that point, that's when I actually dug my heels in more and said, okay, this is actually a very viable thing. I've just got to continue and I've got to persist and not give up. And I think that's the key for any entrepreneur that's starting something, is they have to think with, you have to be relentless to just saying, hey, I got to keep going and I can never, ever, ever stop and I can never give up. And I think it's that sort of approach that you have to be number one.